Viewers, welcome to the session on control engineering subject. We have already completed the module 1, which was an introduction on the control systems, various types of control systems, the requirements of control systems. As well, we have also gone through the control actions and various types of controllers. Now, let us switch over to the module 2 of the same subject, control engineering. Module 2 teaches us about mathematical modeling, block diagrams and signal flow graphs. The composition of module 2 in the subject control engineering belongs to the mathematical modeling of various systems, then the block diagram and the signal flow graphs. Let us take mathematical modeling to begin with. As I have mentioned earlier also, it is very important for the mechanical engineers, the electronics engineers and the electrical engineers in particular, because it is actually these streams, the engineers belonging to these branches, who will be designing and developing the control systems. So, in order to analyze any control system, in order to conduct an analytical study on any control system, for a design engineer who will be involved in designing and developing of any control system, the mathematical modeling or evolving a mathematical equation is the first step. The first step is mathematical modeling of the system or evolving a mathematical equation in order to carry out the analytical study of the system. Now, what do we get out of the mathematical modeling or mathematical equation? What is this mathematical model? What is this mathematical equation? It is very important to know. See, in order to understand the dynamic behavior of a system, whenever some input is given, then how does the system behave? What is the dynamic behavior of the system? What happens to the output if the input is varied or the input is varied over a class of inputs? What happens to the system? What will be the variations in the output that we get? In order to understand this, the mathematical equation or the mathematical model that we evolve, that will be the key. Now, in nature, there are several types of systems we come across. We have categorized. It is humans who have categorized any system into various different types of systems. For example, there will be mechanical systems, there will be electrical systems, there will be thermal systems, there will be hydraulic systems, there will be pneumatic systems. Now, if we take the example of mechanical system itself, mechanical systems can be of two types based upon what is the type of output that we get. Mechanical systems could be either linear systems or rotary systems. What does it mean? If we apply a load, if we apply a force on such a system, a linear system say for example, the result will be the displacement, a linear displacement in some direction. Now, the same thing if we apply a load or a rotating force, that is torque, then what happens is the result will be the rotation of the system. So, that is why mechanical systems can be analyzed in two ways. We can either have linear systems or we can have rotary systems. Now, if we want to evolve a mathematical equation for a mechanical system, what comes into picture? We know the Newton's laws of motion. The Newton's second law of motion is what is going to govern, the Newton's second law is what is going to govern the mathematical model evolution for any mechanical system, be it a linear mechanical system, be it a rotary mechanical system. Similarly, if we want to carry out the mathematical modeling of an electrical system, then the Kirchhoff's law that comes into picture. Similarly, if we want to evolve a mathematical equation or a mathematical model for a liquid level system or a hydraulic system, then the law of conservation of energy comes into picture. So, this is what is a brief introduction to the mathematical modeling. So, as I have told you, in order to carry out an analytical study of any control system, the very first step is to evolve a mathematical equation or a mathematical model which will give us an understanding about the dynamic behavior of the system, so as to know what happens to the output, what happens inside the system if the input is varied over a given range of values or if the input is varied over a given class of inputs. With this brief introduction, let us get into the problems, few problems which will demonstrate the application of various laws of nature such as the Newton's second law, the Kirchhoff's law for electrical system or law of conservation of energy. Let us try to demonstrate the evolution of mathematical model or the mathematical equation with the help of few problems. Let us first start going through the mechanical systems. Let us take the examples of mechanical systems with linear motions. Say, let us first try to demonstrate the development of, let us first try to demonstrate the development of mathematical models or the mathematical equation for mechanical systems. As I have told you, mechanical systems could be either linear systems or rotary systems. Let us first consider the linear systems itself. The simplest of linear systems, the simplest of linear mechanical systems could be a simple spring mass damper system. So, the first problem we will take up with a simple spring mass damper system which is getting disturbed by an external force. The best understanding for such a system could be the shock absorber of a two-wheeler. All must be knowing the shock absorber system in your two-wheeler if you have used. There will be a spring, there will be a damper, and the mass of the body itself is considered to be the mass. Whenever we are riding on a road which has undulations, which has a wavy surface or wavy texture on itself. Now what happens is every time this undulation or the waviness of the road is experienced by the vehicle, then the disturbing force, disturbing shock will be felt by the shock absorber, the vehicle. Now with the presence of shock absorber, what happens is whenever the waviness is going to apply load or apply the disturbance onto the body of the vehicle, then what happens is the vehicle tends to move vertically upwards. And then when the waviness comes down, there is a valley, then the vehicle tends to come down. Then both the cases, whether the waviness is with a mountainous texture or surface or the valley, the vehicle is going to experience a disturbance. It will not be that very stable or consistent with its ride. Then what happens is with the presence of vehicle shock absorber, the spring as well as the damper, the spring as well as the dampers are going to offer a resisting force in the opposite direction. The magnitude of the forces generated by the spring as well as the damper both put together, it will be as equal as the force that has caused the disturbance. Thereby, the vehicle is not going to experience too much of shock and the ride will be more or less comfortable. That is what is the basic functionality of a shock absorber. So, we will first demonstrate the mathematical modeling or the development of a mathematical equation for the simplest of the system, that is a spring mass damper system which is experiencing the disturbance with the help of a external force. So, let us say the first example, the first problem. What do we say? We will say obtain the governing differential equation and the transfer function for system shown. See, the governing differential equation, which can be otherwise acronymed as GDE, right, as well as the transfer function, which otherwise can be acronymed as TF. It is these equations which are termed as the mathematical models or the mathematical equation that we are trying to evolve. Now, the problem is there is a spring, there is a mass M, there is a spring with stiffness K, there is a mass M, and then there is a damper with the damping coefficient C, and then it is fixed on both the sides. Now, there is a force F which is disturbing force, it is exerted onto the mass m, then what happens is the mass m is going to get displaced by a distance y, the displacement y. This is how the construction of a shock absorber of a two-wheeler, more or less very similar in construction, will be in existence. Now, in order to evolve, this is the given system to us, that is, there is a mass m, there is a spring with the stiffness k, then there is a damper with a damping coefficient c, then this mass is getting disturbed by a force F which is acting in the vertically upward direction, due to which when the force is getting applied, due to this application of the force, the mass is trying to get displaced in the direction of the force with a displacement of y. Now, what is the question? Question asked is, for this system which is shown here, which is written here, we have to evolve a governing differential equation as well the transfer function, which are actually the mathematical models or the mathematical equations. Now, in order to solve and arrive at the mathematical model or the equation, the step-by-step demonstration or the step-by-step derivation could be as follows. Now, the very first step to evolve a mathematical model is to write the functional block diagram. So, the solution starts in this fashion. The functional block diagram FBD, which otherwise can be termed as, it will be as follows. See, there will be a mass m. There is a mass m. I am just trying to write a functional block diagram for this simple spring mass damper system. There is a mass m, and this mass m is getting disturbed by a force F. This mass m is getting disturbed by a force F, because of which the mass is getting displaced by a distance y. Now, we don't want disturbance because they are undesirable. All the disturbances are very much undesirable, because of which what we tend to do is we will either try to eliminate completely or try to minimize the disturbances, because of which we have incorporated a spring as well as the damper. Spring offers the displacement component of the force, whereas the damper offers the velocity component of the force. So, what happens is, whenever the force m is applied to disturb the mass m, then the mass gets disturbed or displaced by a distance y. To this disturbance, in order to minimize or eliminate, then what happens is, the spring which is incorporated here into the system, it offers a force of ky. As I have mentioned, the spring offers the displacement force in the opposite direction to the force, whereas the damper with a damping coefficient c offers a force in the opposite direction to the applied disturbing force as the velocity component. So, spring is offering a force ky which is acting in the direction opposite to the disturbance, that is, the displacement is in the direction upwards over here, whereas spring is offering the displacement component of the force in the downward direction. They will always be opposite. That is when the shock will be absorbed. So, there is a damper with a damping coefficient c. This is also going to go to the downward direction, which is against the disturbance that has been caused by the application of the force F. So, C y dot. Y dot, if you have known previously, see, whenever there is a differentiation d by dt, then we tend to say dy by dt. If this is there, velocity, displacement is y, rate of change of velocity, rate of change of displacement is what is termed as velocity. So, y, if we replace d by dt by y dot, if we try to substitute instead of, we will try to substitute dot in place of d by dt. And if there is acceleration, say for example, rate of change of velocity as per the definition will be the acceleration, then whenever d square by dt square will be there, we can write it as y double dot. Each dot represents it has been differentiated those many times. So if there are two dots, then it means to say it is a double differential. 2 times it has been differentiated. Now, this is the most important part for any mathematical modeling process. Once you write, more or less your job is done to evolve the mathematical model. Now thereafter, it is only the application of Newton's second law and carrying out the mathematical iteration to arrive at the mathematical equation or mathematical model. Now, once we have written this functional block diagram, I'll repeat, I am just trying to write the functional block diagram, extracting information from the system given. As you can see, there is a mass m, it is being disturbed by a force F in the vertically upward direction, because of which the mass is getting disturbed and displaced by distance y. This is what I have written. To this disturbance and the displacement, because of the presence of spring as well as the damper, the spring force is acting in the direction opposite to the displacement, so that the disturbance could be minimized. So it is offering a force of Ky. Then there is a damper with a damping coefficient C, which is also trying to contribute to a force which will be acting in the direction opposite to that of the disturbance, that is C y dot. Why it is dot here, why it is only y here is because spring offers displacement component, whereas the damper offers the velocity component. Now, if we y dot, what it means to say is each dot represents it has been differentiated that many times. If there are 2 dots, then it has been differentiated twice. If there are 3 dots, it could be differentiated 3 times. Now, the next step is to apply Newton's second law. All of us are aware Newton's second law is sigma F is equal to ma, where m is the mass, a is nothing but the acceleration, sigma F is nothing but the summation of all the forces acting on it. Now, what is this m over here as per this free functional block diagram? It is m as it is. M could be termed as m itself. Then, what is this a? A is nothing but acceleration. What is acceleration? It is the rate of change of velocity. What is this velocity? It is rate of change of displacement. What it means to say is, here the displacement is y. If it is velocity, then it will be y dot, because rate of change of displacement is velocity. Then if it is acceleration, then it is rate of change of velocity, that is nothing but d square y by dt square, which is written here as y double dot. So what it means to say is, m in place of a, I can write y double dot, because acceleration for the system will be d square y by dt square, which can be written as y double dot. So which is equal to, now the right hand side has to be written in a way in which all the forces in the functional block diagram, all the forces that are acting in the direction of displacement, they must be written with positive sign, and then all the other forces which are acting in the direction opposite to the displacement, they must be written with the negative sign. So here in the functional block diagram, if you can observe, in the direction of displacement, only the disturbing force is acting in the same direction as the displacement. So it has to be written with the positive sign. Then what are the other forces acting onto the mass now? The damping force as well as the spring force. So, but both of them are acting in the direction opposite to the displacement. So thereby I'll write the damping force as Cy dot with a negative sign. Why negative sign? It is because this is acting in a direction opposite to the displacement. Now as well, the spring force is also acting in the direction opposite to that of displacement, because of which I am going to write even spring force with the negative sign. Now what I'll do is I'll try to collect all these y terms on one side and keep the force F on the other side. So what I'll do is my double dot plus cy dot plus ky is equal to, I am left with F. What I have done here is I have just transferred the spring force as well as the damping force onto the left hand side, so that all the terms with y come on one side and the disturbing force will remain on the other side. Now this is what is called the governing differential equation. This is what is called the governing differential equation for the system. I'll just try to adjust the space here. Now, what we will do is, after we have found the governing differential equation, in order to arrive at the transfer function, that is, the transfer function is nothing but it is the ratio of output to the input. For the system shown over here, what is the output from the system? It is the displacement y. And what is the input given to the system? It is nothing but the disturbing force F. So what is meant by transfer function? It is the ratio of output to the input, a mathematical model or the equation which can tell us what has happened during the transformation of the input to the output. So the transfer function to be found for this particular system could be, the output is y, the disturbing force F is the input, so y by F could be the transfer function for the system given. So in order to arrive at the transfer function, what we will first do is, we will apply Laplace transformation, which says if y is equal to y of s, y dot one differential could be replaced by s, so s into y of s, and then if there are double differential, then that means y double dot means it is d square by dt square. So since it is differentiated twice, we will replace s by the d square by dt square by s square of y of s, and f, which is nothing but the input, we will write it as f of s. I will try to utilize the space which is left here because I need more space. Now, once I have done this, I will apply this Laplace transformation to the governing differential equation that we have already found. So, what it says is, m, we will retain as it is, y double dot is nothing but s square into y of s. So, s square y of s plus c into y dot. What is y dot? Y dot is nothing but s into y of s. So I will write it as c s into y of s, then plus k, y remains y of s. So k y of s is equal to, f can be written as f of s. Now, if we take out y of s common on the left hand side, what we will be left with is ms square. If I take out y of s here, I will be left with ms square plus cs, I am taking out y of s, plus k is equal to f of s. Therefore, what is the transfer function? It has to be, we are trying to find y of s by f of s. Therefore, what we can do is y of s divided by f of s is equal to y of s divided by f of s. I am just cross multiplying, because of which what happens is, we are going to be left with 1 divided by ms square plus cs plus k. Now, this is what is the transfer function we are trying to find. Now, similarly, we need not always come across only one mass within the system. We can have 1 mass or 2 masses or even 3 masses. In such a case, let us come out with one more problem which will demonstrate multiple masses as a part of the system, and let us try to come out with finding the governing differential equation for such a system. See problem number 2. Problem number 2, it is asked to find out the transfer function for the given system, and the transfer function to be found out is been x of s, x1 of s divided by f of s. See, the moment you go beyond 1 mass, if you have got 2 masses, if you have got 3 masses, if you have got 2 masses, then you can have 2 transfer functions. Either it could be, if in this case, if we take for example, mass m1 is getting displaced by distance x1. So that means you can have the transfer function as x1 of s divided by f of s. And mass m2 is also getting disturbed and it is getting displaced by a distance x2, then in such a case you can have one more transfer function which is nothing but x2 of s divided by f of s. That is why specifically it has been asked that you need to obtain the transfer function for x1 of s divided by f of s for this particular system given. Now, whenever there are more masses, more than 1 mass, then at one instance you have to pick up one mass, analyze it and get some equation, then you have to go for finding out the equation, mathematical equation for the second mass, then for the third mass if it is given. Then you have to consolidate all the data and then come out with the finalization for what governing differential equations and what transfer functions you need to get. Now, in the given problem, if we try to analyze the system, then there is a mass m1, there is a mass m2, and then mass m1 is getting disturbed by a force F. See, the force is applied on mass m1 and m1 is again connected to m2. That means to say the influence of the disturbing force F will be on both the masses. It will be on m1 as well as m2. So both the masses m1 as well as m2 are going to get disturbed. So let us try to analyze this system and arrive at what has been asked to find out, that is x1 of s divided by f of s. In order to find the governing differential equations and the transfer function, the very first step, as I have mentioned, is you have to consider one mass at a time, write the functional block diagram for that particular mass, then apply Newton's second law, then apply Laplace transformation, then finally come out with the transfer function. Let us consider the mass m1. Consider the mass m1. Consider the mass m1. What is the first step? The first step is to write the functional block diagram. So let us write the functional block diagram. So how to write the functional block diagram? First write, there is a mass m1. What is happening to this mass? This mass is getting disturbed by a force F. m1 is the mass which is getting disturbed by force F. Now, what is the effect of this disturbance? The mass m1 is getting displaced by distance x1. Now, when the mass m1 is getting displaced by distance x1, then to resist this disturbance, there is a spring present, there is a damper present. So, there is a spring present which offers a force in the opposite direction to the displacement. There is a damper present which is trying to offer a force, damping force in the direction opposite to that of the disturbance or the displacement. Now, what is the force contributed by the spring K1 to resist the disturbance? So, K1, then see, whenever the mass m1 is trying to get displaced by a distance x1, then what happens is the spring will offer a force which will be in the opposite direction to the displacement, and that force is nothing but K1x. But since the spring is connected to the mass m2 also, whenever the spring tries to offer a force of K1 into x1, K1x1 in the direction opposite to the displacement, then that resistance is resisted by this mass m2, because spring is connected to m2 also. It pulls back the spring by a force K1 into x2. So the effective force offered by the spring with a stiffness of K1, it will be K1 into x1 minus x2. It will not be K1 into x1, it will be K1 x1 minus K1 x2. What we can write it as K1 into x1 minus x2. The effective resistance offered by the spring, it will not be K1 into x1 alone, it will be K1 into x1 minus K1 into x2, that can be written as K1 into x1 minus x2. Why? Because spring is not connected only to mass m1, it is also connected to the mass m2. So this spring will try to offer a resisting force of K1 into x1, which again will be resisted by K1 into x2. Similarly, for even damper, the same thing happens. What? Whenever the mass m1 is getting displaced by a distance x2, then the damper present over here, it tries to offer resistance by offering C into x1 dot as the resisting force. To this resisting force, since damper is connected on the other end with m2 also, m2 will try to pull back the damper, because of which the effective force offered by, effective resistance offered by the damper with damping coefficient C, it will be C into x1 dot minus C into x2 dot, which can be otherwise written as C into x1 dot minus x2 dot. So that is what I am going to write here. See, for the spring will try to offer a resisting force to the displacement, which will be of the magnitude of K1 into x1 minus x2. Similarly, the damper tries to offer a resistance of C into x1 dot, whereas m2 will pull it back by a force C into x2 dot, because of which the effective resistance offered by the damper present over here, which is connected to both m1 as well as m2, it will be equal to C into x1 dot minus x2 dot. Right. Once we have written this functional block diagram, now you can understand it very easily. What? If we consider the mass m1, then F is the external force or disturbing force applied onto the mass m1, which is trying to displace the mass m1 by a distance x1. This disturbance is resisted by what? By the presence of spring as well as by the presence of a damper. Now, the resisting force offered by the spring, it will be like K1 into x1. It tries to resist the displacement by offering the spring force as K1 into x1, which again will be pulled back by mass m2, because of which the effective resistance offered by the spring K1 with stiffness K1, it will be K1 into x1 minus x2. Similarly, the damper, since it is connected to both m1 and m2 masses, because of which whenever the mass m1 tries to get displaced by a distance x1, then the damper will try to resist this disturbance of x1 by a force C into x1 dot, whereas when it tries to pull back the mass m1, then the mass m2 will try to pull this damper towards it, because of which the resistance offered by the damper, it will be equal to C into x1 dot minus x2 dot. So this is what is the functional block diagram, and in evolving the mathematical model for any system, it is very important to write the functional block diagram correctly first. So now thereafter, next step is apply Newton's second law. It says sigma F is equal to ma, where F is the disturbing force, m is the mass, and a is nothing but the acceleration. Since we are considering the mass m1, what we can write is m is nothing but m1, then a is nothing but the acceleration. Since displacement here it is x1, obviously the velocity is going to be dx by dt, which is nothing but x1 dot. Then acceleration will be d square x1 divided by dt square, which can be written as, since double differential, it will be double dot. So since we are analyzing the mass m1 with a displacement x1, so it will be m1 into x1 double dot is equal to. Now all the forces in the direction of x1 should be written with positive sign, and all other forces have to be written in the with the negative sign. So in this particular functional block diagram, only F is acting in the direction of x1, therefore F is written with positive sign. Then damping force, which is nothing but the resisting force, is acting in the direction opposite to the displacement, it is written with the negative sign. As well, the force due to the presence of spring is also in the opposite direction to the displacement, this is also written with the negative sign. Now once we have written this, it is only mathematical iteration. What we have done, we have just transferred the these two terms onto the left hand side. Therefore m1 x1 double dot plus this term has been brought here. So since it was negative, it comes out to be positive when we try to push it on the left hand side. As well, this particular component, if we take it on the left hand side, it becomes positive, right? That will be equal to F. Thereafter, we have just written it over here, rewritten it over here, m1 x1 double dot plus c into x1 dot minus x2 dot plus k1 into x1 minus x2 is equal to F. This is what is the governing differential equation for the mass m1. Then once we have arrived at the governing differential equation, we will apply the Laplace transformation. What Laplace transformation says? See, x1 can be written as x1 of s, then x1 dot, that is dx1 by dt, right? It can be written as dx by dt will have only one d by dt. So 1 d by dt can be replaced by a term s over here. So s into x1 of s. Then x1 double dot, that means d square x1 by dt square, right? D square by dt square could be replaced by s square. So that is why x1 double dot can be written as, double dot means double differential, therefore that is replaced by s square into x1 of s. If we come to x2, x2 can be written as x2 of s, x2 dot, x2 single dot, that means dx by dx2 by dt, right? So that can be written as d by dt could be replaced by s term. So just a minute. x2 dot can be written as s into x2 of s. Then x double dot means d square x2 by dt square. So d square by dt square is replaced by s square, and x2 can be x2 of s. F to be written as f of s only. Once we apply this Laplace transformation to the governing differential equation, then we get, in place of m1 x1 double dot, m1 x1 double dot is s square into x1 of s plus c is to be written as it is, open the bracket, then x1 dot is nothing but s into x1 of s, then plus this one. It is not supposed to be plus, it is to be minus x2 dot can be written as, x2 dot is s into x2 of s, that is what we have replaced here, close the bracket, plus k1 is to be written as it is, open the bracket, then x1 is to be written as x1 of s, that is what we have written, then minus as it is, then x2 can be written as x2 of s, that is what we have written, close the bracket, that is equal to f of s. See, this is what we have written. This you name it as equation 1, right? Then you go to the mass m2. Now consider mass m2. The first step to find out the equation for mass m2 will be to write the functional block diagram, right? So mass M2, write mass M2 here first, mass M2. Due to the force applied over here, the influence of this force will not just be limited to only mass M1, it will also be onto the mass M2. So M2 gets displaced by a distance x2. Now, when M2 is getting displaced by a distance x2, then we have a spring K1 connected to M2, we have a damper with damping coefficient C connected to M2, we also have a spring with the stiffness K2 connected to M2. So whenever mass M2 is trying to get displaced or disturbed by distance x2, what happens is the spring with stiffness K1, the damper with damping coefficient C, as well as the spring with stiffness K2, all the three of components are trying to offer resistance to the displacement. So thereby what happens is there will be force due to the presence of spring K1, there will be force which will be due to the presence of damper with the damping coefficient C, there will be a force due to the presence of the spring with the stiffness K2, all the three of them will be offering resisting forces to the displacement x2. So obviously those resisting forces means to say this spring, this damper as well as this spring, all of them put together they will be offering resisting forces to stop the mass M2 getting displaced by distance x2. So what happens is they want to stop the displacement of this mass x2. So what do they need to do that? They should offer resisting forces in the direction opposite to the direction of displacement. That is why all these have been written in a direction opposite to that of x2. So now what is the force offered by K1? See, I will try to explain in this fashion. See, M2 is trying to get displaced by a distance x2. M2 is trying to get displaced by a distance x2. Then what role is played by this spring? This will try to pull it back. The spring will try to pull it back. That means it will try to pull it back means it is going to offer a force in the opposite direction to the displacement on the mass M2. That is why it is written in this direction. How much resisting force it is going to apply? So this will try to pull back the mass M2 by a force K1 into x2. But since it is connected to M1 also, M1 will try to push it forward, because of which the effective resisting force offered by the spring with the stiffness K1, it will be K1 into x2 minus x1. So that is what we will be writing here, K1 into x2 minus x1. Same thing happens with the damper also. When the mass M2 is trying to get displaced by a distance x2, then this damper will try to pull it back by a force C into x2 dot. Then when it tries to pull it back, this mass M1 will try to push it forward again. So because of which this C into x2 again, that itself will be resisted by a force C into x1 dot. Because of which the effective resisting force offered by this damper to stop the mass M2 from getting displaced by distance x2, it will be C into x2 dot minus x1 dot. So in the opposite direction. So that is why it has to be written as C into x2 dot minus x1 dot. Then this spring, let us try to analyze the role of this spring. When the mass M2 is getting displaced by distance x2 in this direction, then this spring which is connected to M2 over here, it tries to offer a force K2 into x2 in a direction opposite to the displacement. So that is why it is written in the opposite direction over here. See here, as you can see here, this force as well as this force, they are written in a direction opposite to that of the displacement x2. So therefore the force that is offered by this spring of stiffness K2, it will be equal to K2 into x2 but it will be in the opposite direction to the displacement. So, K2 into x2. Now, once we have written the functional block diagram, it is more or less like we have successfully arrived at nearly 60% of the solution. It is only about applying the Newton's second law and writing the final equation, the governing differential equation, thereafter applying the Laplace transformation, then arriving at the transfer function. Now, apply Newton's second law to this particular functional block diagram written. So, as you can see, sigma f is equal to ma, that is what is Newton's second law. Then, what is this m? Here in this functional block diagram, it is going to be m2. What is a? It is nothing but the acceleration. For this displacement, the acceleration will be, it will be, if we write it, this is the displacement, then what is the velocity? dx2 by dt. What is the acceleration? d square x2 by dt square. So, if we write dx2 by dt, it will be x2 dot, and if we write d square x2 by dt square, it should be x2 double dot. So, x2 double dot will be the acceleration component. So, m2 into a is nothing but acceleration. Since x2 is the displacement, it will be x2 double dot, m2 into x2 double dot. That will be equal to, as we have written earlier also, all the forces in this functional block diagram, all the forces acting in the direction of displacement must be written with the positive sign. All other forces which are in the direction opposite to the displacement, they must be written with the negative sign. That is what we have written here. m2 into x2 double dot is equal to, see, this is the force acting in the opposite direction, so negative sign, c minus c into x2 dot minus x1 dot. Then this is also in the opposite direction, therefore minus k1 into x2 minus x1. Then this is also in the opposite direction, therefore minus k2 into x2. Now what we do? We will try to bring all x2 components on one side and try to retain other x1 components on the other side. This is what we have written here. See, m2 x2 double dot plus c into x2 dot, this one minus c into x2 dot. If we push it on the left hand side, it becomes plus c into x2 dot, then plus, see, k1 plus k2 minus k1 minus k2, both in x2 form. If they are pushed on the left hand side, then it gives us k1 plus k2 inside the brackets into x2, that is equal to minus c into minus x1 dot, it will become plus c into x1 dot. As such, minus k1 into minus x1, it will become plus k1 into x1. That is what is the mathematical iteration. Then apply the Laplace transformation. The same Laplace transformation holds good there also. That is, x1 can be written as x1 of s, x1 dot can be written as s into x1 of s, x1 double dot can be written as s square into x1 of s. Similarly, x2 can be written as x2 of s, x2 dot can be written as s into x2 of s, x2 double dot can be written as s square into x2 of s, and f can be written as f of s. That is what we have used here also. When we apply Laplace transformation, m2 is written as m2, x2 double dot is nothing but s square into x2 of s. Similarly, we have made replacements for all other terms of the equation. Then what we did? We took out x2 of s as common, then we got m2s square plus cs plus k1 plus k2, that is what is written here, that is equal to, if we take out x1 of s common on the other side, we will get cs plus k1. This is what have been written here. Now this gives us the equation x2 of s is equal to x1 of s into cs plus k1 divided by this entire bracket. This is what we get here. We call this as equation 2. Now we know what is x2 in terms of x1. This is important here because we have to arrive at the transfer function x1 of s by f of s. Therefore, all the terms of the final transformation, the transfer function, they must be in terms of either f or in terms of x1 of s. That is why we have found out the value of x2 of s from the mass m2 by analyzing the mass m2, and we have found out the equation number 2. Now, for wherever the value of, for all the x2 terms in the equation 1, this is the equation 1. See, in the equation 1, wherever x2 terms are there, you replace this right hand side. then what does it give? This entire equation becomes either in terms of Fs or in terms of x1 of s. Thereafter, you can take out x1 of s as common and you can finally divide x1 of s divided by f of s, and whatever you get on the right hand side, that becomes the transfer function. That is what has been asked over here. If suppose it was asked to find out the transfer function x2 of s by f of s, then in such a case what you should have done over here is you should have written x1 of s on one side and all these could have been transferred onto the left hand side. Then you should have replaced the remaining terms in place of x1 of s. You would have got everything in terms of x2 of s. Then you could have easily arrived at the transfer function in terms of x2 of s divided by f of s. Whereas in the given question, it is asked to find out everything in terms of the transfer function in terms of x1 of s divided by f of s. Therefore, we will try to find out the value of x2 of s. We will name that equation as equation number 2. Then substitute that in the equation 1. This is what we have done over here. See, in the equation 1, m1 s square into x1 of s, we have retained as it is, plus c. S between these two, S is common, so we have taken out S also. We got CS, open the bracket, instead of see x1 of S, we have retained as it is, minus for x2 of S, see, we have written this particular equation. We have just substituted for the value of x2 of S in equation 1. This is what we arrive at. Then what we tend to do is, we will call all these, whatever term is there in this particular square bracket, we will call this as A. We will call this as A. So when we call that as A, then we get m1 s square into x1 of s plus cs into x1 of s, we are retaining it as it is, minus this entire term as A. This is what we have written here. Just a correction. Both are same. Say Cs plus K2, Cs plus K1 divided by M2S square plus Cs plus K1 plus K2, the same thing. That is why in that equation only that part we are naming it as A. That is why we are just replacing this term by A, because of lengthy writing, to avoid or to minimize the writing. So we have replaced this term by A. This is what we get. This is the equation that we get here. Then once we get to arrive at this particular equation, then we will take out x1 of s as common. Then we get up to this equation. Then see, what has been asked to find out is, we have to find out the transfer function x1 of s divided by f of s. It is just about substitution and the iteration. So because of which the transfer function that has been asked is x1 of s by f of s. Here from this equation we can get x1 of s divided by, if we cross multiply this f of s, we will get x1 of s divided by f of s, that is equal to 1 divided by, now you just substitute back the term that is named as A over here. This is the equation entirely what we are going to get over here. See, much of the part is the mathematically deriving till we get the final equation. But the most important component for arriving at any transfer function is nothing but, first you need to write the functional block diagram. You have to analyze the given system, first write the functional block diagram and then apply Newton's second law. Then once you apply Newton's second law, you will get the governing differential equation. Then you apply Laplace transformation, then to the governing differential equation. Then once we apply Laplace transformation to the governing differential equation, we will arrive at the transfer function. This is the simple procedure for deriving the mathematical equation or mathematical model for any given system.